I have some questions. How does that work? Can you elaborate? Tell me more. How do you even think about that? Where do you start? Hold on, I'm curious. You got my attention. I'm Erik Berglund, and this is I Have Some Questions. Hey, welcome again to Lead with Questions. I'm Erik Berglund, and I wanted to take a couple minutes to recap the conversation I just had with Tim Whitmire, co-founder of F3 Nation. Forget his title, VP of Strategic Growth and Development, I believe, at the Doxwell Group, and author of Freed to Lead, as well as founder of CXN Advisory. Like, Tim does so many things. He's had such an impact on so many people around his career. So it was really fun from a personal level just to be able to talk to him about F3. And again, if you didn't catch what F3 was, or you haven't listened to that episode, F3 is a nationwide fitness fellowship or leadership group for men. And it's something I've been involved actively in for 4 years. And it has changed my life. It has changed the lives of dozens of men I've brought into it. And all it is free workouts for men, usually pretty early in the morning, with other men who are just trying to be better leaders in their lives. The whole mission of F3 is to plant, grow, and serve small group workouts for men for the reinvigoration of male community leadership. There are a lot of lonely men in the world who don't realize it. And I was one of them, who didn't have camaraderie with people who are striving for the same important things that I'm striving for, to be a good husband, father, friend, and person in my community. And part of that sure is work, but so much of it is not. And that's what F3 has just done for so many men. There's something like 4,500 workouts around the country per week, and north of 10,000 or so men who participate in those workouts every week. So it was awesome to talk to the co-founder. I didn't mean to. I didn't hunt Tim down. It was an introduction from a mutual friend who we'd been on his podcast. But being able to dig deep into understanding some of the roots of this thing, that it really did start, it started accidentally. You might think about that, right? What are you doing right now that, is important and seems like a good idea for you, but you're not sure where it's going to go? Like, I had this group that never took off. I had this group I tried to start in Portland when I had a bunch of entrepreneur friends up there. I wasn't yet an entrepreneur, but I was a sales leader, and I just happened to know a lot of them. And I started this group I called Potentially Productive Shenanigans. And it was literally just a group of like a dozen people who I had met that I thought were rock stars that should all know each other. And the fact that they didn't know each other bothered me, blew my mind. So I tried to get them together once a quarter. We'd go out for cocktails and just know that you were going to spend an evening with some really high caliber individuals. And like, what if that had grown up in a really meaningful way like F3 has? Like, it didn't, right? I moved and abandoned it. My point is just like, maybe there's something you've had an inkling to go try in your life. Maybe there's had something you wish you could do, or that would, serve you better and might serve a few other people better. And the story of F3, I hope, is a bit inspirational around that, because it didn't happen because they had some grand plan. They didn't have a mission statement. They just said, we need to create our own space to go do workouts because there's too many of us. And then they realized that, hey, if we have other people lead, that's pretty cool. Most guys don't get a chance to do that. It just kind of grew organically. And since then, for 14 years, it's marched around the country and then around the globe to have this huge impact on so many men's lives. I just love that that's the origin story. I'll stop geeking out about it here for those of you that aren't part of it or aren't interested in it. But if you are, check out f3nation.com, find a workout near you. Again, it's not about the workout. The workout just pulls you together. It gives you a reason to be there. It's really about having that camaraderie and fellowship and turning outward in what F3 calls faith, but doesn't have anything to do with religion. It's about turning outward and serving the community around you in a meaningful way, believing in something bigger than yourself. Go check it out, f3nation.com. And, some of the great lessons from F3 really translated into Tim's experience and certainly into mine as well. This concept of sustainable effort, not being above 100%. Tim talked about his 91% rule, that you really can't expect more than that from somebody on a consistent basis. They need to be able to get to 100 occasionally, but you burn people out at 100%. My counter to that is, well, I'd frankly be pretty pleased with 80% for most people, like an 80, 85% B from the vast majority of my team most of the time. Damn, that'd be cool. Like, that'd be just fine, especially if you're good at hiring reasonably high caliber people. And then when they can peak to 90, 100%, that's really meaningful in the right season. But there are seasons in people's lives where, frankly, you might need to expect 60% of them. Because reality is, right after you have a kid, whether you had the kid or whether you're the husband or whatever, boy, you ain't getting 100% from them. You're not getting 90% from them. How can you? They haven't had any sleep. They're hungry. They're grumpy. Like, adapting your reasonable expectations to the life of the people that you lead is an incredibly important component of it. And if you're not willing to do that, then you might look contextually around the organization and try to figure out why, because you really can't reasonably expect somebody to give you 100% all the time, because they probably don't live to work. They probably work to live. then they probably have other aspects of their life that change the context for them. We also talked about how if you've got somebody on your team and it's not working, you can really change your view to recognize that this context might not be right for them, or they might not be right for this context, but they could be inside of an organization where they're the right person on the bus. They're just in the wrong seat. That was me as I left my sales organization prior to going and building the language of leadership. I was the right person in that role for a number of years, but then as it matured and I matured, I wasn't anymore. I was ready to take on the next thing. And I became close to somebody who might have grown to be toxic in the organization had I stuck around much longer, because I was so frustrated at trying to tear things down and build things bigger than I really fit for my job. But if you recognize that, maybe this person could go be a genius somewhere else, maybe they're a rock star in a way that just they're never going to find here, then you can really put on this hat as a leader to help you recognize you're probably doing them a disservice by keeping them longer. And again, that doesn't mean you have to fire them right away, right? You can come up with a gracious or graceful way for them to exit in a healthy way. And in so doing, build a really healthy culture of respect from your people. Because if people know that if they quit, they're not going to be kicked to the curb, or they're not going to be fired on a whim, but instead there'll be a plan to help them transition in a healthy way, you'll earn the undying respect from people around you. I've seen this happen from people that I've led, and I've seen the alternative happen as well. But if you can just suspend the belief that just because it's time for somebody to no longer be in your company, that means you have to cut ties today or fire them right away. And you can instead recognize that maybe there's a way to build a healthy culture here to lead these people on an off ramp that gets them to some place where they might be better suited to be successful. Man, you can earn just an incredible amount of trust from the people around you by being that thoughtful of a leader. And you don't have to sacrifice anything for your company. There are absolutely ways to set expectations and hold people accountable to a certain degree of effort in that transitional process. You can do the same thing when somebody's going through maternity or paternity leave, when they've lost a family member, when they've got some big life event coming up or a vacation they're really trying to exit on. This opportunity to be a human and really change your expectation level based on the seasonality of the people that you lead, and then to set that expectations inside the company, right? Because you got to be able to communicate it upward just as much as laterally or downward. Is something you can do as a leader. And it was fun to take that degree of humanity and humility from Tim in that conversation. I really appreciated that part. Anyway, I hope you take a chance. If you're a leader who really does need that operational guidance, it sounds like Tim provides, where you've got a big vision, but you need someone to help you be accountable to the tactical steps required to take the next steps, to help you build that plan and march along down the road to executing it. Sounds like Tim would be your guy. We'll include his link in this and the other show notes as well. If you had any thoughts about the episode or questions you thought I should have asked or things you'd wonder about Tim, by all means, pop me a note at hello@languageofleadership.io. See you again next time. Thanks for giving the episode a listen. If you liked this episode, make sure to click the follow button and come back every week for more, and also share it with a friend. And if you'd like to be a guest, or if you have ideas for the show, or if you have questions as well, email me at hello@languageofleadership.io. I'll see you next time.